Hello, welcome back. This is Jeff Byers and this is Andy255, and we are going through some dynamics, and we are going to show you a little bit about the effects section of the VFX. So go ahead and hold down your space bar. Now what we want to do is we want to have something to catch on fire. So let's click on a sphere. Now we're working in centimeters. That's really important. So if you see something different, you need to make sure you're set up in centimeters, not feet. Alright, so click on a sphere, just make sure it's highlighted, and go to Effects, and go to Fire. Just catch it on fire, why not? Let's just go ahead and do Edit, Reset Settings, and click Create. And just go ahead and play, and there's our fire. Pretty awesome. Right out of the box. Alright, so there's a couple things we need to think about here. It's using particle effects. So let's take a look. Windows, Outliner, and it is using a particle effect. There's a lot of really cool things going on here. So let's open it all up. Okay. So this fire effect has my sphere that I created, and I'm emitting from that sphere. Now if you don't want to show the sphere, you have to have something emit from it. You can always turn the invisibility to off, and you can even animate that if you want to. So it'll still play. Okay, so you can put something else there, like a couple logs or whatever on the fire. We'll probably do that with a cauldron. It'd be kind of fun. So it's not gonna be photorealistic fire, so just make sure you know that. So you could spend hours, if not days, if not years, to try to get to look like real fire. It's not going to look that way because it's not really using fluid dynamics, and it's not using voxels or even hypervoxels, so it will not look like fire. Okay, so you can get fire to look pretty close to fire if you're using fluid dynamics. We're just using particles. Again, we know how particles are. They're not photorealistic, so we're going to get something, fun for sure, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So let's take a look at the emitter. Alright, so we can either go in here and you can see what's happening with the emitter in the channel editor, or you can go into the attribute editor. It really depends on what you want to do. And you can see some of the really cool stuff that is available to you. So let's take a look at that. The same, because it is a particle effect, you can see that a lot of this looks very familiar. So you guys can dive into that a little bit. I'm not going to go too deep with this video, but I just wanted to show you how to create it. I'm going to go ahead and turn that sphere back on again so we can see it. Let's just type in on. There we go. How does it look rendered just the way it is? So a lot of times it's got a turbulence, drag field to pull it up, gravity to pull it. Now I think the gravity is going up. Max distance, take a look. Gravity field is magnitude's at 85, so direction is pulling it up, so it's in that. It's all kind of basically blacked out. Anything that's purple has got an expression on it, so it's connected with an expression. And then we have our transforms. So basically everything's going to come from the emitter, the turbulence, the particle. I wouldn't mess with the gravity or the drag field or anything else, so those, stay away from that. So these three are okay to mess with. Okay. With the particle, okay, I'm going to go in to this later in depth, but I'm going to go Control A first, get it back in here. Alright, so here's some interesting things going on here. So we have I'm looking for the lifespan. There we go. We got a lifespan here. fire scale, fire speed, what direction they're going in, fire spread. Basically, when we talk about spread with the particles, that's where that is. Turbulence is how turbulent it is. Fire is very turbulent, so that's why we see it at 240. If you don't like it, you can always turn that down a little bit. Fire density, how bright that will be. Okay. The fire radius at the start is at 1, and then what you want it to be at the end. And sometimes I just put in like 2 to make it look a little more like fire. Fire intensity is how bright it is. Okay. There's a difference between the density. It has those kind of work together. You'll notice that the fire density, it doesn't have anything to do with how many particles are coming out. It has to do with how they look, the thickness, and then the intensity is the brightness. So how dense. And then the lifespan. Here we have 2 areas with the lifespan. Okay, so what if we do 2 on here? Keep that at 1. Alright, let's bring this lifespan up to, sometimes they have a global lifespan. So lifespan, fire lifespan, let's go ahead and do those both at 2. So now you're going to get something that looks a little more like fire. It's just going, it's lasting a little bit longer. So how does that look? Let's go ahead and play it a little bit, and then let's go into render settings. We don't want Arnold renderer, we want to use software. And we want to go with production quality, and then of course the highest quality, and then Commons tab. I'm going to go in here. Let's keep it small for now. Let's go ahead and, so there's our fire. It's not terrible. Okay, so with that said, let's go to density and let's turn that up to 50. Okay, there we go, and then let's go ahead and render that. Okay, so you get a little more thickness there. Now let's go the fire intensity. This is 0.35. Let's do something like 0.8. Let's play that again. Alright, so let's go ahead and render that. So now it's brighter. You can see. Okay. So those are the main ones you're going to be actually messing with. The intensity and the density, and how much do you want the fire to spread, and the fire speed. Okay, I think it's pretty good. They did a pretty good job setting it up, and then turn the lifespan up a little bit. So, and then you can experiment with some other things in here. And of course, if you make a mistake, it's no big deal to go back in there and create a sphere and then add the fire effect to it again. Anyway, I hope this was helpful, and this is going to help you when we get into putting everything together for our assignments. So we need to have water coming out of the fire hose, the fire nozzle, and we'll have it collide with the boxes. We want the boxes to be dynamic, of course, and be pushed back by the water. We also want the boxes to be on fire. So the boxes will be on fire, and the water puts it out. So that's the whole idea, and we want it to look as dynamic as possible. So it should be fun. So have fun, and we'll see you in the next videos, and we'll start working on the assignment. Alright, I'll see you then.